Today, let's explore energies from people. Let's explore conversations. Let's explore walking into a room where we feel that energy. Let's explore what other people's energy might be doing for us, or how we can protect ourselves, or how we can absorb good energy, and how we can enjoy other people's energy and make us heal. I hope you can stay and listen.
Welcome to Healing Starts Here with Mary Greensmith and Dee Nicole. We believe that healing is bigger than any one modality, technique, or philosophy. It begins with curiosity. It begins with connection. It begins with a willingness to explore what is possible. Join us as we dive into conversations about energy, vitality, homeopathy, intuition, nature, personal growth, and the many ways people around the world are finding their path to greater well-being. Together, we'll meet fascinating guests, explore different healing traditions, and ask the questions that help us better understand ourselves and each other. Because every healing journey starts somewhere, and healing starts here.
Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. It's so lovely to see you. And Dee, we are here again talking about energy healing. How are you today?
I have to admit, today's kind of a day where I'm not as grounded as I usually am, but there's a little bit of fun in that because there's an adventure to see what's coming. How are you?
Okay, so I'm looking forward to finding out more about that. And as I was just saying before we switched on the record button, I've had a really heavy day with clients today. And do you know what? I was so excited because I saw you in at the end of my day. And I thought, oh, I'm so pleased. That's really going to finish my day on a high. And then I thought, why is that? Why do some people make us feel so much better when we're just talking to them or just around them? What is happening? What's going on? And I thought, do you know what? You're just the perfect person to talk to about that.
Listen, this will be really fun to explore because it's something everybody experiences. We all know it. We all have that sensation of, I was just hanging out with so and so and I feel so depleted, or I can't go near that person. Like, I really want to go to this event, but I can't go with them because it's just going to draw all the energy out of me. Or that I always feel better after just being around another human being. We all know this experience. So I think it's an incredible thing to talk about and see if we can make some sense of for your brains, even though our bodies, our systems, our psychic senses, all of that knows it to be true.
Yeah, but where do we start? I mean, obviously, we've got
Well,
a conversation, the actual words themselves, but actually, communication is more than that, isn't it? Because
it
we
is
know,
so much more than that.
yeah, we know the minute we walk into a room, or even we take an energy with us into a room that might affect that conversation. We have preconceived ideas, as you were saying. I can't possibly go to that event with that person. It would just absolutely kill me. Um, do we explore this enough? I mean, obviously our body language must tell us loads in the first place, mustn't it?
Yeah, so there's a lot of levels which we can talk about this. And I have had the privilege of working with some incredible teachers on communication, um, which I went to out of necessity, I'll be fair. Um, and and the person who people who run the place where I learned the most, they actually are trained by the Secret Service here in the US. So they are constantly interviewing and talking to people and they're the human lie detectors, to be honest. And so there's a level in which you can approach it intellectually. Yeah. And there's body language, which I don't remember the statistics, but I actually think it's 70% of communication, they tell us. But there's also the unspoken energetic that is happening. We are talking about our auric fields, essentially, right? So let me back up. Your auric field is this electromagnetic field of energy around you. It reflects everything that's going on inside of you. It's also the place where we take in information and energy. And so when you are around someone and you suddenly have a resistance to them, like it almost feels like the magnets where you're trying to push around iron filings.
Yeah.
It is an electromagnetic response to the energetics that are happening. Yeah. And when we care for our energetic system, when we pay attention to our energetic system, those messages come through really clearly. We also have a natural level of being able to detect if someone is pulling on our energy, because there are absolutely people who draw energy out of you. They don't do it consciously, most of them, once in a while. They don't do it consciously, but it's because their system is so depleted that it's seeking energy from everywhere else without any level of discrimination. Yeah. So for me, this comes back to energy and a healthy auric field. And I'm sure that brought up questions, so I'm going to pause and give space for that.
Okay, yeah. Where do we start? Okay, so can you tell me a little bit more about this auric space, this energy? What is it that you know about this, first of
Sure. Well, I mean, we won't give too much because we really want to be able to digest it in small amounts,
all?
but it really is. We're made up of ions, molecules, and atoms, right? They're all bouncing around and doing their jam. And when they do that, they create an electromagnetic field. This is measurable. Science is on board with this. I don't know if they call it the auric field. That may be unique to the spiritual community, but they agree that this exists, that this is around us, and it is reflective of how that movement is happening. Right. And so we could go intellectual and say we need to control how we're moving our ions, molecules, and atoms, but that's not the case. It's actually reflective of the movement of your soul, of the movement through your energetic system. When we're talking about the auric field, it's important to acknowledge the chakra system. And again, this is just a system that we have designed to interpret what's going on, but cool, because it lets us understand some things. But the chakras actually work as gateways to the auric field. This is where things pass in and pass out. Yeah, so again, if you're feeling someone pull on your energy and drain, something's happening in that chakra system. When we learn about this and we learn, honestly, energetic anatomy and energetic health, we can build our fortitude, we can build our resilience in these areas. So everything affects it. Your moods, your feelings, your what you are moving through personally affects how things are moving within your system. And therefore, it will end up affecting your auric field. Likewise, the energy of everyone around you will be affected. There'll be an interaction that happens. Did that help?
No, the first thing that's going through my mind when we talked about whether energy is drained from you or whether we come away with more energy. And I don't have any training on this, so I'm hoping that
Perfect.
you might be able to explain this to me. But I would say that I feel more drained if I go into a room, meet with somebody, and they just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and I feel more drained. But if it's more of an equal conversation, or I talk about me or something, I feel more energized. So are we saying that actually listening is what is draining?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think you'd find that to be true if you're listening to something that really resonates with your soul.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
absolutely.
But there is a level of if it is constant output, your system is put in the place of constant input, and we have capacity. We
Yeah.
have capacity, especially if, have you ever been around someone who never takes a breath when they speak? Like it just keeps going. And you're like, I'm not even listening anymore, but
Yeah.
I'm still feeling this drain. Yeah. And the best thing you can do is offer a pause and interrupt so that you can come back to connecting to yourself. Anything that separates you from that being able to connect to yourself is going to feel draining. Yeah.
And what you said was really, really important though, is the fact that if they're talking about something that resonates with you, that you are on par with, that you think, oh my goodness, that explains this, or oh my goodness, that's really interesting, or oh my goodness, yes, that's how I feel, then that that gives you energy as well.
Hmm.
So actually, are we saying that when we are listening to something that we really don't agree with and we're starting to put up blocks about it?
It's not even agree or disagree, I don't believe. For me, it's from a place of if it's resonating with your energetic system and where it needs to be right now, where it is and where you're going, right? So this comes back to your soul and your next soul level step and all the things that we don't typically think about in our as we're going through a day and we're buying a cup of coffee or having a conversation, right? But all of that is happening underneath. So there may be a time where you reach a point where that same person who was driving you crazy, all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay. Right. And that's because your two electromagnetic fields have hit different places. And we know this from middle school where they teach us about magnets that sometimes they pull together and sometimes they push apart. Yeah. And the worst thing we can do actually as human beings is try and force it together when it's being pushed apart. And I think we've all done this maybe in our relationships where we're trying to be near someone or near something and we just can't get there. Yeah, that is your energetic system giving you information and telling you things, even if your intellect hasn't quite processed it yet.
Makes sense, makes complete sense. But let me ask you this.
Okay.
If we go into a room and we're feeling a little bit stressed before we go in, we're a little bit nervous about this conversation, what can we do? What can we do to help ourselves align better so that we don't come out more stressed, we come out calmer?
There's a few techniques that are really, really simple, and you don't need anything to do them. You don't need a tool, and you guys know I love tools. I love crystals. I love stones. I love tools, but you actually don't necessarily need that. The first thing that you can do if you are in that place where you're already out and about and you have to walk in that room and you are like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, stop and take a moment for yourself and get grounded. Okay, because anytime you're off and running in the what ifs, you have lost your connection to the earth. You are now moving in your head. You're well in your head, right? All your energy has come up here and is trying to float up. And all we have to do is bring it back down so it's more in balance. So very simple imagery and close your eyes and imagine. And even if you can't picture it, just set the intention that way. Take some deep breaths and imagine roots coming out of the bottom of your feet and moving down deep into the earth and just letting that energy flow. And you can actually imagine drawing that earth energy up, that super grounded earth energy up into your body. Another thing that I really like to do, I used to do this on the New York City subway, which let me tell you is a place where you see a lot of energies. You encounter a lot of different energies of all kinds. Some of them you're ready for, some of them you're definitely not. And, you're not maybe you're in the mood to hear the guy sing on the train for his money, and sometimes you're like, I really just needed a moment to myself before I go do what I have to do. And again, this was a very simple visualization technique, and you don't have to close your eyes. I just say that as a nice thing to do to shut off external sensory information, but you can bring your focus inside, keeping your eyes open. I say that because I don't necessarily recommend closing your eyes on the subway. Um, and that was just imagining almost a waterfall. And I'm talking like strong Niagara Falls style waterfall of light moving through your body, in, around, and through. And just letting that wash whatever doesn't need to be there away into the earth. And again, it's really just about coming back into yourself, right? So when I was talking about the what ifs, we were moving up here. We're trying to get out of ourselves. When I'm talking in this moment, I'm using the light to wash anything that's separating me from myself down into the earth. So those are two really, really simple techniques that I have used over and over again for a long portion of my life. Yeah. The bigger picture is when we are talking about, because we're actually kind of giving a nod towards what a lot of people refer to as energetic protection. Yeah, and we could probably do a whole episode on that. But the greatest form of protection is so simple because we're talking about energy, which is human, right? We are energy. There's energy all around us. It's doing those simple things to take care of yourself. Yeah, it's getting sleep. It's having a moment where in your day you just have a pause, be that a cup of tea or 5 minutes of free writing in your journal or a stretch. It's the really kind of common sense things of taking care of yourself. Because when you're not doing that is often when our electromagnetic system starts to get a little more permeable and what can pass through and what doesn't. That help?
What I love are your imagery, and I think you said okay, so we need to do a whole episode on the spectrum, and we also need to do a whole episode on the crystals. But I'm thinking actually we could do with a couple of these visualizations, because I now have got this waterfall going down through the roots out of my feet into the ground, and I am just loving, and I haven't heard anything like that before. I'm not very good at meditating. I'm not very good at finding a meditation that suits me. Um, I'm not willing to give it enough time. But that imagery, I have got one that I read once years and years and years ago that I go back to all of the time because it really resonates. But this, I'm loving the waterfall and the roots. Okay, so that is really powerful for me, and I just love it. And I think this is when we hear something that resonates. Now I can relate this now to where my magnetic field is, and I can absorb that and feel comforted and calm and grounded, maybe just hearing those words and that imagery that fits with me.
Yeah, it's actually I want to back up. That was so beautifully said, but I am stuck on one thing you said previously, and that's that you don't do well with meditation. I want to talk about that because it is such a common feeling. And I am a firm believer that there is no right or wrong or one way to meditate. So again, this is really about finding the thing that resonates for you because we naturally hit that meditative state. Most of us, not all of us, we hit that natural meditative state without having to do a lot, right? It's that zone where you don't really have to think. And that can be something a lot of us do it when we're driving long distances. A lot of us do it when we're doing the dishes, right? I would put money on the fact that you do it when you're riding your horse.
That's what I was going to say. And I would say that that is so important for my health to actually just be out there on my own, not with another human being. So I'm not talking, and that allows me to be in the moment and the training, but also out in the garden it's like having a hobby, isn't it? That takes your full conscious mind so that you haven't got room for thoughts that are outside that moment.
Yeah, it's whatever it is that lets you hit that space where you're fully present, truly is what it is. And that there's, again, for me, I actually do well with meditation now, but I did not for a long time. And for me, it was always an active meditation that I needed. The idea that you need to sit down and not think about anything is absurd. Right? It's it's not going to work for anybody every single time they go to try to do it. So we have to have different forms of approaching life or when our energy is in different places to bring us to those spaces that give us that moment, that space of breathing where our system can expand and let our intellect have some rest.
And of course, a lot of people might find this if they have a week off or go on holiday or go somewhere else and they're in a different environment, then things come to them that they haven't been able to let in before. So, yes, you're absolutely right. We all find our ways to get out of our heads.
Yeah, and that's all meditation.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. I love this. Well, you did say that you would, fill in the holes for me. So that's absolutely brilliant because I know what I need in order to. I mean, let's face it, I love work. I love what I do. I love having new ideas and I love, doing things. And as you said, quite often the thought of sitting down and doing meditation, I'm just thinking, okay, sitting down and solving this problem. But the problem comes if I go out and do something entirely different and don't think about the problem, and then the solution happens. And of course, this
Exactly.
happens in sleep, doesn't it?
Exactly. I was going to say, where do you get that idea that you love to go work on? Chances are it's not while you're sitting there saying, okay, I have to create an idea.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And that's the balance. We have within ourselves everything we need to know where we're going on our path next, to solve any problem, to find a divine solution and resolution to any problem. And I say divine being connected to you. Yeah. And we have all of this within us. And so often we are looking outside of ourselves and telling ourselves we can't do it or this and that. And when you can allow yourselves to get into the moments where you're just present with what you're doing, be that your flowers. I had a student who would tell me over and over again she couldn't meditate, but she was a potter. And when she sat with her pottery wheel, that's when clarity would come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes absolute sense. And then, so going back to energy and information, I mean, are we talking about our bodies are constantly exchanging energies then, really, aren't they?
Yeah, energy is always moving in and moving out, almost like the way you breathe, the inhale and the exhale. Absolutely. And that's why um, we should talk about the chakra system one day, but that's why caring for your chakra system is such an incredible thing because it lets you develop a strength that is not, that's not a wall. Yeah, it's more of a filter that lets things move in that are good for you, but keeps things out that aren't quite small enough to to get through the filter. Yeah. So, yes, things are constantly moving in and out. We are not stagnant as human beings. And truly, the moment you get stagnant is where you're moving on to another level, right? I'm going to say it more clearly. That's when you die. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, when
Yes.
everything stops moving in your body, you're doing something else. You're not here in your human experience anymore. Yeah. As long as we are here and present, energy is constantly moving. Actually, we can take that even further because the laws of thermodynamics tell us energy can't be created nor destroyed. It can't be destroyed, right? It just keeps changing and
Yeah,
transforming.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if we're going into a room, we're a little bit nervous about this conversation. Okay, we're a little bit nervous about the energy. How can we, how can we be, how can we protect ourselves? Or how could we do even better than protect ourselves and actually come out feeling calm, collected, safe? Or should we not look that far?
Well, I think the first step is to be present with where you are. Okay, you recognized you're nervous. There's something beneath that. It's not just, hey, I'm nervous. What's going on? What is it that I'm really feeling? Am I concerned about rejection? Am I concerned about judgment? What story am I playing in my mind, in my energetic system? What's coming forward? Because if it's coming forward, it's usually coming forward either to be useful or to be healed. Actually, and being healed is useful, so just to be useful. And so acknowledge rather than saying, no, no, let me put that aside and pretend I'm something else. Again, that is the moment you've separated yourself from what's actually going on. And that's where you're vulnerable. So if you stay in this moment of, hey, I'm really nervous, I'm going to breathe into being 100% nervous in this moment and feel what that really feels like, then the whatever's really going on for you. And I'd like to give you a specific example, but it's different every single time, honestly. uh, when we're in our pattern, it'll repeat for a while until it shifts. Yeah. Doesn't mean you won't ever be nervous again. You will, but you might have created a whole new thing that you're nervous about. Yeah. But be present with that. Don't push it away. Acknowledge it. Yeah. Notice. And if when it comes down to it, you have a core level feeling of I should not be having this conversation. I hate the word should. It's really not in my vocabulary. I don't know why it just came out. But if that's the core level sensation that's coming through for you, listen to that. Pick up the phone and say, you know what, I'm really sorry. I can't make our meeting today. Let's reschedule. Yeah. So, first and foremost, acknowledge the nervousness. You have the two techniques that I just gave you to get really grounded while you're in that grounded moment. And it just takes 2 to 3 minutes, really, to shift your state. That's when you would want to ask yourself, what's really underneath this? What's the question beneath the nervousness? Yeah, because sometimes your body can't recognize the difference between excitement and nervousness physiologically, right?
Yeah.
So it may be that you're a little nervous because you're about to walk into something amazing, something wonderful that's going to require you to change in the best possible ways. Yeah. So notice what story you're telling yourself. And then you say, thank you very much for coming. I'm safe. And you go about your way. Yeah. I could give other visualization techniques, but I don't want to overload you.
That's really nice. But let's just talk for a moment about that nervous and excitement, because you're absolutely right. And when people are anxious, we need to know what's happening to the body, physically, and recognize the fact that it's actually the same as when we are excited. So, the heart racing and shallow breaths and things like that. So and that brings on the whole new conversation of actually we could lie to our brain and tell ourselves that our body's reacting this way because it is excited and not nervous, and that would help us get over anything that we were anxious about, maybe like flying or something else.
Yeah. And that has its purposes, but I lean away from there's absolute value in shifting mindset, right? But I lean away from saying I'm going to trick my body into doing something because it's giving you a message for a reason, right? And there are absolutely times where I think everyone can relate to having a gut feeling that they shouldn't do something that they've always do. and it has served them as a result, right? So I'm not a huge fan of shutting down the energetic, I call it energetic information, that we're receiving, that we're experiencing, because that has value. And it's so important. And when we start doing that is when we cut off our intuition, and then we're cutting off part of ourselves, and it's a whole thing, right? And requires a lot of work to end up being healed. But I can think of this example just this last weekend. My I call him my special man friend. Special man friend, it was his birthday and that week, and he decided to skip going to play soccer, which is his favorite thing to do in the world. And, you know, it's rare that he would consciously make the choice not to go, but he decided not to go that week because of whatever. Yeah. And there's always that little bit of battle of, I know this is the thing that's really good for me. This is, do I lean into discipline? Do I go? And by the end of the week, come to find out, don't know what happened at the soccer field, but somebody's getting kicked out of the little league they play in, right? So something happened. Something was avoided that his system didn't need to be a part of the experience. Yeah. So there is value in that information of, if you are getting a clear don't go and those messages come in, you know,
Listen.
I promote listening to that. On the other side, when you start to be able to recognize the difference between that kind of message and the nervousness your brain is creating because it's telling you a scenario that's not actually true, then we can start trying to shift your mindset. Yeah. But the thing is, they feel different. They sound different. However you receive energetic information, it will be different. And so when you start allowing yourself the freedom to recognize that difference, you're golden. You're going to 100% know with confidence that you're responding in a way that's aligned for you. And that's the key, that it's aligned for you. And this is where I pause and say, did I answer your question? Because I just talked about a lot of stuff.
Absolutely brilliant. But what I want to do now is just move it on to talk about actually walking into somebody's presence that can help us heal. So we know that calmness is almost contagious, it's just helps people around them. So let's talk no more about, walking into energies that we don't want. Let's talk about walking into energies that really help us and help us heal. And how can somebody's presence help us heal?
The way this is showing up for me at the moment, for me, that presence that helps you heal, and that can be a person, but it's also often a place, right? A place where you like to go and you feel recharged. That is the person or the place where that really allows you to be in yourself. So it's not even really about them. It's about the place that you are deeply connecting to you. Yeah. And I say that as someone, who teaches Reiki, and in Reiki, we connect you to a specific energy that is healing, and you carry that with you everywhere you go, whether you are practicing or not. And people who have done their own work, who are healed, who their boundaries are strong, who they're not shifting your system in a way that is antagonistic, who they just allow you the space to be you. What you are feeling, in my opinion, is actually already there. It's just the purity of you, because that is the safest, most powerful place you can be. When you are deeply connected to yourself, that is your greatest level of protection. Yeah, that is your greatest place of safety. So if there's aspects of yourself that you were allowing yourself to turn away from, or to even not look at and avoid. Um, those things are affecting your energy, right? So all of a sudden you've got something cut off here. A lot of times we end up calling that a block. When someone gives you the freedom and space and safety, and again, that doesn't have to happen with words. It can just be energetic, that you are free within yourself to be the full you. You're going to feel really good. You just are. You're going to feel good, and your body, your whole energetic system, natural sense of recharging, takes its course. Yeah. So I know that might not be a satisfying answer because we're so trained that we want it to be a thing that does this.
Yeah.
But really, it's just how those energetic fields interact. And if someone does not have healthy boundaries, even if they're going in to heal things to make you feel good, and they're taking your stuff away, be it the bad stuff that they're taking away, in the end, that's going to circle back and it's not going to feel good on both sides. It's not. So when they are in themselves, their energetic boundaries are strong, they allow you the freedom to be the same and to deeply connect to yourself. And it may be parts that you haven't been looking at, but it's always been there. It's always been you.
So what I'm taking away from this is that we are really influenced by other people's energy, but it's kind of what is in us anyway, and what we are looking at reflecting or bringing out in ourselves, that going through the motions of meeting, communicating, connecting with other people is just where you are at the moment, and there are lots of things that you can be doing for you.
Yeah. I mean, that reflection aspect is important. And again, I feel like we're spinning off into a whole nother episode because I can say for you, my personal experience as a human being, people reflect back to me all the time that I am generally, even when I don't feel it, that I am generally grounded and a grounding presence in their world. But I can also tell you that there are people with whom I reflect so much truth that I'm their trigger, right?
Yeah.
And we all have that. I didn't do anything. Like I'm the same person I was over there as I am over here. But it's about how those energetic systems move and interact. Yeah. So the part of this that I recommend we hold on to is the one that you is within your realm of control. And that is your energetic system and how healthy you keep that, how much you listen to that, and then noticing and honoring what you notice energetically as truth. Of I'm next to this person and something's making me uncomfortable. And then asking yourself, right? Asking your insides. This is using your intuition. What am I uncomfortable about? What is that feeling like? What is that discomfort? And exploring that for yourself. Yeah.
This is just absolutely, it's brilliant because we've discussed a tiny little bit, and it's opened up so many more topics for us. But for me, this is what energy healing is. It's just understanding the energies of the world and the energies in our body and the interactions, but understanding how to listen and what to listen for.
Yeah. And really, that's just being human. Yeah. So often we've been taught not to pay attention to that. And And all we do is cut off part of ourselves because we have intuition, we have this internal GPS, and it is just because we are an energetic system and we are being given all this energetic information, and it's so good. And it's either here to teach us or to protect us, which is still teaching us of what's going on and how to navigate our lives. Again, I'm going to say you have everything you need. And if you find yourself walking into situations where you are feeling uncomfortable, first thing to do is stop and check in with yourself. It's not to blame the other person. Stop and check in with
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah. Perfect. Dee, thank you so much. This has been absolutely wonderful, as
Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
Let's do this again sometime.
Well, let's do it again sometime.
Thank you all for listening. It's been lovely having you all here. See you again soon. Well, wasn't that fantastic? I just love talking to Dee and just love understanding where we are, what we're going to be doing, and what's going to be needed next for us to get the most out of every minute of every day. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Healing Starts Here. Our hope is that each conversation leaves you with a new insight, a fresh perspective, or a gentle reminder that healing can take many forms. If this episode resonated with you, we'd love for you to subscribe, share it with a friend, and join us again for future conversations. Take good care of yourself, trust the wisdom within, and remember that healing is always unfolding. We'll see you next time. Because healing starts here.